Hello, friends. I hope your podcast is doing fantastic. You're moving, you're grooving, you're improving. But today, with all the things we talk about, all these tips and tricks and everything else, I have a request for you today. This is me begging you, hands and knees, saying, please, for the love of God, stop asking every guest that you have about their background, because nobody really cares. So let's get into it. It's Not Just Talking. I'm your executive producer, Vince Quinn. I'm here to help you sharpen your podcast strategy, improve your production processes, and build your hosting skills so that you can put more time into your business. And that's what this is about, right? It is about your business. You're doing this as marketing. You want to connect with people. You want to build an audience with them. You want to solve their problems. You want to build unique relationships with the people that are guests on your show. And as much as it might feel natural to ask people what their background is, oh, I see that you do this job. How'd you get started doing that? The truth is, nobody cares. Because here's the other truth. Odds are, before you did this episode, no one knew this person existed. So why are they super engaged with where did this person come from, what made them into this individual they are today, when they literally did not know they were a person on this planet until they hit play and you showed them that this person exists? And that's not to knock your guests. There's plenty of great, intelligent, helpful people that are professionals that are coming on these shows. And that's why you have them. But this isn't, oh my God, Kurt Cobain, let's go through the history. Like, everybody knows who that name is. They want to know what the background is, how the band came together. It's a well-known thing. They have interest. And so that interest in the music and the person leads to an interest in the background. It's the same thing for really any other celebrity that exists. It's, we know what this is, so now we want to know more about them because we are fans and we want to get as much information as we can get. But when you're doing a business podcast, and you're trying to grow what you've got, who you are, your sales, your audience, well, then you need to make this conversation as relentlessly about the subject matter as you can. And when you spend 10 minutes asking somebody, so how'd you get started? And then they're like, oh, well, I was an intern for a while, and let me tell you, I was a wacky one. I forgot coffee half the time. Like, that is not helping your audience with anything. It is not solving their problems at all. So don't do it. And here's a couple of things that might lead you to do it, right? Because Vince, they do this on all the shows. It's common practice. Yes, it is. And the common practice sucks. It sucks. Because it's not helping anybody. It happens on every other show that these people go on. It's usually in the first 10 minutes of the show, which means this is your opportunity to build a relationship with your audience and a new audience, and they're going to tune you out because they're spending 10 minutes getting a history lesson on a person they didn't know was real. So who is that for? It's nobody's fault, really, because this is a new medium still. Everybody's figuring out what the rules are, and that's part of why I do this show and part of the reason why I beg you not to do this anymore, because it really doesn't help you. Unless there is something that is so bizarre about this person or it puts them in a position where you actually question their credibility, which why are you having them on anyway, or your audience might question their credibility, then maybe there are some things in the background that you might want to explore before you get into that idea. Like, there might be some setup that is necessary to explore the concepts and ideas that that person has. But generally speaking, you're bringing this person on because they've pitched you on something. You've said, I think this thing is good, or you have a relationship with that person and you understand what they're about. So just set it up in the intro. Have a pre-recorded intro. Hey, we're going to be bringing on this person today. They do this, this, and this. They're absolutely great at it. I've worked with them on 15 projects. They are the best. So let's get into it. Here's our conversation. And then first question, point blank, boom, get into it. Get to the point. People don't have a lot of time. And even 45 minutes nowadays for a conversation can be long. And when you're thinking about your standard episode is 45 minutes and 10 of it is just setting up literally who the person is, then you've lost a lot of time. So don't do that anymore. And when it comes to the background, what you want to do is use it, if you have to to support the arguments that your guest is making. Because like I said, your guest is coming on the show. They have something specific to talk about. You have an audience. It's a very specific audience. They're coming to solve a problem and educate your audience and to some degree you. You get this back and forth. You get to pick each other's brains and your audience is learning from that. That's awesome. But you have to go through that first. And if it turns out that they mention, okay, well, I've just become so good at marketing. I've just made all of this progress over the years, and I can't tell you how much it's helped my business. Okay, well, what was that like? What were the things that happened that led you to become this marketing expert? And now you can get into the background, right? It's what are the experiences that you had? What are the jobs that you worked? What are the things that you've done, the people you've connected with that gave you this expertise that you now have today? What is the foundation for this strategy? Now your background's relevant. Now it's interesting. Now it's adding credibility, but you're layering that through the broader conversation where at first you get to the point. You present the idea, the thesis statement that this person has. And I will tell you, 99 times out of 100, any guest that's presenting the thesis, their first thing isn't, well, we should just really tell people where I went to college. That's the number one thing. I need to get on your show to tell people I went to Penn. That's what they need to know. It's not what this is. Nobody wants that. They have things to sell. They have ideas to express, and they're there to share those ideas. So let them do it. And I'm telling you, as somebody who's been a guest on a lot of shows myself, I don't like going through my background. It's not interesting to me. I don't think people ask the right questions a lot of time when they're doing it. I don't think it benefits their audience for people to know that I spent 10 years in radio, unless they're just looking at what I'm saying and going, this guy's an idiot. So, okay, then maybe I just haven't expressed my ideas properly or we disagree. I don't know. But I don't need all of this setup to be like, hey, please, here, let me explain for the longest time why this thing is going to be good. Because when you have those kinds of conversations in real life, they're always bad things, right? Any sitcom you've ever seen, how do those things go? Honey, I have some big news for you, but sit tight. Let me explain. Okay, so 15 things happened. And as a result of those 15 things, I bought a boat. And then it's like, wait, you did what? Clearly it's dumb. So don't spend all this time trying to tell people, oh, we need credibility. We don't have credibility. Don't bring them on if they're not credible. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your audience's time. Don't think about it that way. You have to explain to people why this person is credible, why you think they're credible. Or if you have questions about their credibility, ask them good questions and challenge them during the show. That is opportunity for you. So seize that. Because you might agree with the general principle, but same thing. Like I said, using the background to support the understanding and context of the ideas that they've got. That's a way to build it up. But questions are a way to go and attack it. And so you can do that, but you're limiting that opportunity, that time to do it, to dig deeper, to get into the sub-levels of philosophy, if you will, when you spend 10 minutes just talking about where they came from. LinkedIn exists. That's what it's for. I want to see somebody's background, I'll go to LinkedIn. If I want to learn somebody's background, I'll go to any of the other 50 shows that person has been on, where I guarantee you they've talked about their background on 45 of them. So don't waste your time. It's not going to help you. And I know, again, you might be hearing all of this and shrinking into yourself. And I really don't mean to be this negative. It's just, one, it's something that bothers me a lot, because it has become an industry standard. And for all the reasons that I've been now pretty much ranting and raving about for the last couple of minutes, I think it's pretty clear that I think it's dumb. The second thing that goes with this is, it is a process. You do get better. You have to understand these things and find ways to counter it. So acknowledge that, fine. You can sit in that if you want, but let's talk about how to solve it together. And that's what I'd like to do now, is let's take a minute and go through, okay, if you've been doing background a lot with your guests, you've been in that format, that's what you've been comfortable with. How do you get out of that? How do you start doing interviews that don't include the background? How do you get right to the point to showcase these things about that person and have deeper, more thoughtful, and unique conversations? If you're listening to this, chances are that your business podcast is struggling, but you're not sure what's holding it back. That's why I created the Podcast Compass Quiz. And in just 5 minutes, you'll get clarity on what's working, what's not, and where to focus your energy next. Best part? It's completely free. So hit the link in the show notes to take the quiz now. There's a couple of ways that you can do this. And one of them is do a pre-interview. So 10 minutes is really all it needs. It's literally exactly what I do for the conversations that I have for people who are guests on the show. I send them a 10-minute calendar link. And I ask them a couple of things because I'll look at their website, I'll listen to their show, I'll check some things out about who they are, and I've got curiosity about it. And by asking some preliminary questions, I can get more to the heart of who they are before they even get behind the microphone for the show. I can prepare with a better understanding, so the idea that I can go deeper and farther. And that's where I want to go. So I do those questions, and if there's things from the background that I am curious about that I think could help me build a better show and be more informative to you and other people who listen to the show, that's what I'm going to do. But 10 minutes is all you need. And if people aren't willing to give you 10 minutes, then they're not a good guest for the show. Don't take them. You can do pre-recorded introductions. So explain to people, hey, this person, they have this background, they had a great career working at A, B, and C, and as a result, they transitioned it into this business where now they're helping people do X, Y, and Z. It's very common. A lot of times people will hand that to you when they ask for how they want to be introduced. So just read what they give you. That's giving the background without wasting 10 minutes of everybody's time. It's gone down to 10 seconds. And if they want to know more about those things, again, they can go listen to another show. They can check out their LinkedIn. They can build a connection and reach out to that person. That's what they want anyway. It's what your guests are looking for. They want your audience to say hello to them. So they can do it all there. But pre-recording the introduction makes it so much easier and gives you all the things that you want from that 10 minutes anyway. And then lastly, the other idea could be if this is a comfort thing or it's hard for you to get that 10-minute schedule and build that out for pre-interviews. What you can do with the show is mention to people, hey, so I want to get started and I've got some questions about your background, and ask those at the beginning, but either don't record it at all or record it, but tell them that it's not going to be a part of the show. It's to help you with the intro, with the outro, and just get into the meat of the conversation when you edit and release the show. Just edit the 10 minutes out. You know when it happens. So have the conversation, get them warmed up, get yourself comfortable. That's one of the things that happens to me. I get jitters doing this sometimes. It's natural. It's human. It's anxiety. It means you care. So if that's what you need to get comfortable, then do that and ask them those basic things and take notes on it. And then once you get deeper into the conversation, if something from that comes up, you can say, yeah, and by the way, we were talking about this before we hit record, but you said this. Now your audience knows anything that's relevant from those 10 minutes. You've brought it into the show. You're still building on the rapport that you've built with that person. Your show is shorter. It is more efficient, and it's going to be way better and stand out more than most of the other shows that you're competing with. There's 3 ways that you can do it to go and counter it, but let me tell you, your show will be so much better once you start getting those episodes out and finishing them and listening back to those episodes, those first 5 minutes versus the first 5 minutes where you're just going, so where'd you get started? Okay, you went to school there? That's great. Good for you. It's going to be night and day. So it's a hard change to make, but it's an easy one to see the difference of. And when you're thinking about, again, everybody else is doing this, that value, that differentiation, your ability to connect with your audience, with new audiences, to build a better relationship with your guests because those episodes are more compelling, it's all going to tie together for you. So you just need to believe in that process and believe that it's going to give you a better show. So think about all those things. Stop asking about the background. It's not helping you. Your guest doesn't want to do it. You're going to be so much better off without it. You won't even remember how you did it in the first place. So start making those steps. If you have a question, reach out to us, sbxproductions.com. You can set up a 10-minute conversation with me. I'm so happy to talk with you about this. And it's 10 minutes. Simple, effective, to the point. We will talk, we'll go through those issues, and I'll start putting you on the right track to building a better podcast. So feel free to reach out there. Talk to you next week. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe to the newsletter to get more podcast insights. That link is in the show notes. And if you're feeling stuck with your podcast, let's figure it out together. Book a free 10-minute chat with me. The link to do that is also in the show notes. Talk to you next week.